Hey everyone, this is Angie Norris and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Angie's Book Adventures. And tonight I'm going to be doing a video about the May 2025 book releases that I am most excited for. Guys, when I was doing the research on this video, there are, oh my gosh, I don't even remember. I think there were close to 100 books being released in May. I'm sure there's maybe even more. But I limited this video to my top 10 of what I am most looking forward to. Now, I am a BookTube newbie. And one of the things that I shared in my BookTube newbie video about what I find most challenging about recording videos for YouTube is the technology aspect. And so my friend Jen just did her May 2025 book release video where she inserts the book cover in the video in the editing process. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to figure out how to do that. I'm not going to promise you that I will. So what I'm going to do is I have saved as a screenshot the book cover, and I'm just going to show it to you on my iPad. Okay, so for the first one is a book by Freida McFadden, and Freida is releasing a book entitled The Tenant. And guys, I'm going to turn the video down for just a second, or not the video, but the light, so that you can see. Look at that cover. I mean, that's just creepy. So I have only read one other book by Freida McFadden, and that was One by One. And I enjoyed that. I love a good psychological thriller. But Freida McFadden has written many of those types of books. But this one is going to be released on May 6th. And let me just read you what the description says. There's no place like home. Blake Porter is riding high until he's not. Fired abruptly from his job as a VP of marketing and unable to make the mortgage payments on the new brownstone that he shares with his fiance, he's desperate to make ends meet. So enter Whitney. Beautiful, charming, down to earth, and looking for a room to rent. She is exactly what Blake's looking for, or is she? Now that right there sounds interesting. So that's number one. That is classified as a mystery thriller. Book number two, I chose a historical fiction because I'm a huge historical fiction fan. And the name of book number two is The Star of Camp Green by Joy Calloway. Let me turn the light off so that you can see that colorful cover. Now, one of the reasons, even though I've never read this author, one of the reasons that I was intrigued by this, it is also going to be released on May 6th, is because it is set in North Carolina, and that is where I'm from. I live in North Carolina. So it is set at a fictional army camp by the name of Camp Green, supposedly in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it is set during World War I. And the primary character, her name is, not Carla, excuse me, I can't see, Calla Connolly. So anyway, I love a good historical fiction set in North Carolina. It was a no-brainer for me. Now, I am not a huge fan of fantasy books. I have read the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. And I have read Red Rising, all of these in the past year, but I am not a huge fan of sci-fi and fantasy. But this next book is a debut novel by an author by the name of Danny Francis, and it is a fantasy / dystopian. And even though I'm not a fantasy, it's called Silver Elite by Danny Francis, and that is the cover. And even though I'm not a huge fantasy fan, I love a good dystopian. So I want to read you a little bit about this. This is going to be the first book of a new dystopian trilogy. It says a young woman must conceal her psychic powers and her attraction to her handsome, infuriating commanding officer as she works undercover to take down a brutal government from within. The world is divided on the continent. You're either a prime immune to the Botoxin, not Botoxin. Let me start over. You're either a prime, which means you're immune to the biotoxin that nearly wiped out the Earth's population 150 years ago, or you're a modified, one who was enhanced by the toxin, developing powerful psychic gifts. As conflict rages between the two sides, Wren Darlington lives in hiding, occasionally running the odd op for the rebel uprising against the Prime's oppressive rule. She must keep a low profile. After all, if the enemy finds out that she is a mod with a staggering 4 psychic abilities, she won't just be sent to the labor camps, she'll be executed immediately and without trial. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but that just sounded intriguing to me. And that sounded like a fantasy I could get behind because I love a good dystopian book as well. The next book, book number 4, is also coming out on May 6th. And this is actually a nonfiction book. It is a memoir by Kelsey Grammer. And it is called Karen, A Brother Remembers. And let me turn the light off so you can see the cover a little better. So when I read this, first of all, I'm a huge Kelsey Grammer fan. I think he's a wonderful actor. But I didn't realize that he had a sister that was raped and murdered when she was 18 years old in 1975. And so that is what this book is about. It says on July 1st, 1975, Kelsey Grammer's younger sister, 18-year-old Karen, was raped and murdered. Now, for the first time, Kelsey discusses how it has affected him and the hope and healing he has found in the decades since. So I actually have already ordered this book. I already pre-ordered it on Amazon because it just sounded, I know it's probably going to be heart-wrenching, but it just sounded like a memoir book that I wanted to read because I do like to read a good memoir book too. All right, the next one is going to be a cozy mystery, and it is called The Retirement Plan by Sue, and I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce the last name, Hinsenbergs. Not sure if that's correct, but that's what the cover is going to look like. This one I thought sounded intriguing. It also said that if you were fans of the Thursday Murder Club, which I'm a huge fan, I have read all of the books in the Thursday Murder Club, that you would like this one. It says 3 middle-aged best friends turn to murder in order to collect on their husbands' life insurance policies. But they are unaware that their husbands have a devious plan of their own in this darkly funny debut. This is another debut author. Perfect for fans of the Thursday Murder Club, and everyone in my family has killed someone. So if you've read that book as well. So that sounded intriguing. I love a good cozy mystery, and I love the Thursday Murder Club books as well. All right, so that was book number 5. The next book, which is book number 6, is going to be released on May 16th, and it is called The Midnight Bookshop. That is the cover. It's by Amanda James, and this is actually classified as a fantasy book. And once again, I don't normally read fantasy, but let me read you what it says. I think it has more of a little magical element to it. It says, "You don't choose the book chooses you. Long ago, a bookshop was born, the beating heart of all those who find hope within the pages of a book. With the words penned upon the echo of old forest, new worlds are created. It's ready and waiting to welcome all those who know where to find it. Strangers Joe, Adelaide, and Kai are the least likely people to find themselves across the threshold of a bookshop. But as their midnight book club shows them that a single book can change everything, all three realize that their own stories can be rewritten. I've never read anything by this author, Amanda James, but she lives in the UK, and her profile, her biography says that she likes to write uplifting books with a twist of magic. So I think this is more magical than fantasy, if you want to split hairs about that. Okay, book number 7, which is coming out on May the 20th, is by Sarah Pinborough. Let me turn the light off so that you won't see the glare. We Live Here Now. This is a horror thriller, and I love a good horror book as well. Trying to turn the light back on there. Yeah, I love horror. I love paranormal. I love psychological thrillers, all that kind of things. All right, let me read you a little blurb from the description on this one. After an accident that nearly kills her, Emily and her husband, Freddie, move from London to a beautiful Dartmoor country house called Larkin Lodge. The house is gorgeous, striking, and to Emily, something about it feels deeply wrong. Old boards creak at night, fires extinguish, and books fall from the shelves, all of it stemming from the terrible presence that she feels in the 3rd floor room. She goes on and it says, as bizarre events pile up and her marriage starts to crumble, Emily becomes obsessed with discovering the truth about Larkin Lodge. But just as the house has secrets, so do Emily and her husband. So that one sounded really good to me as well. Book number 8 is also a paranormal thriller. And I've never read this author either. Whistle by Linwood Barclay. Evidently, he has written lots of books, but according to his biography, I guess most of them were detective novels, and they were in a series. But this one is a standalone, and this one says that Annie Blunt has had an unimaginable, terrible year. First, her husband was killed in a tragic hit-and-run accident. Then one of the children's books that she's built her writing and illustrating career on ignited a major scandal. Desperate for a fresh start, she moves with her son Charlie to a charming small town in upstate New York where they can begin to heal. But Annie's year is about to get worse. So that one sounded interesting. We got 2 more. We're on book number 9, and this one is also coming out on May the 20th. I think it was the 20th. Yes, the 20th. And this is by an author that I have read before. This is The Love Haters by Catherine Center. I actually just read a book that she wrote called Things You Save in a Fire. We read that in an online book club that I facilitate in my private Facebook group. And, you know, we read it back in February. We decided to choose a romance novel for the month of February. And I just thought it was going to be a cheesy romance, easy read for the book club. And I actually loved it. I loved her writing style. I gave it a 5-star. And so since then, I have purchased and have on my shelves 2 more of her books, How to Walk Away and Hello Stranger. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to pre-order this one, The Love Haters. It is a contemporary romance. And it just says it's a thin line between love and love hating. Katie Vaughn has been burned by love in the past. Now she may be lighting her career on fire. She has 2 choices: wait to get laid off from her job as a video producer, or at her coworker Cole's request, take a career-making gig profiling Tom Hutchison, a Coast Guard rescue swimmer in Key West. The catch? Katie's not exactly qualified because she can't swim. So that sounded intriguing. And then the very last book, because I love a book about books, that's probably why I was drawn to the Midnight Bookshop. But the last book that I thought sounded intriguing and I'm looking forward to the release is The Busybody Book Club by Freya Sampson. This is a cozy mystery. And let me read you a little bit about what it says about this. It says, a dysfunctional book club must pull together when one of their members goes missing in this big-hearted new mystery from the best-selling author of Nosy Neighbors. And so evidently that is another one of Freya Sampson's books. I have not read this author. The 5 members of the St. Tredoc Book Club disagree on everything, from the books they read to the biscuits they eat. But when one of the groups suddenly disappears and a dead body is discovered at his house, they must put their differences aside to solve the mystery. So, if it's a book about books or a book about a book club or a mystery, I'm in. So those are my top 10. Drop me a comment below and let me know if any of these sound intriguing to you, if any of these are on your radar, or if not, what you're planning to read in May, whether or not it's a new release. And if you're not already a subscriber to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. You guys have a fantastic day.